Welcome in, welcome in. Today we're going to do something that I've been wanting to do for a long time, which is run a ton of keycap sets. All the major brands, run them beside each other, and I wanted to do it all in one sitting where it was same environment, the same mic settings, the same distance from the keyboard where nothing's changed. So in order to do that today, we are going to have ton of caps. So with me, I've got a whole bunch of them in no particular order. We've got KKB, ABS. We've got GMK, ABS. I've got ePBT. That's PBT. We have nice PBT. That's from Canon Keys. That's also PBT. We've got CRP, which is the king of PBT. Try to make enough room here for you. We're gonna have DCS, although maybe not this set, probably DCS 9009. We're gonna have KBTFans, PBT Pelican. This one's ABS. We're gonna have Swag Keys, Very Perry. This one is ABS and PBT blend. We're gonna have JTK. That's ABS. And for shits and giggles, I'm going to throw an MT3 from Drop. I think it's PBT, but it's a super high profile. Noticeably absent, where I do not own any Osame, so there's no Osame here. And I also do not have DCX from Drop. So those two are some notables that are missing. But yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of these keycaps. I'm going to throw them on my Leviatan and run them plateless. We're going to take the plates out of the equation. The Leviatan is built with MX Blacks, plateless, solder, and yeah, one by one I'm going to load the caps, record the video, take them off, put the next set caps on, record the video, take them off, and then I'm going to splice it together in the combinations that make sense. So we can run GMK versus DCS, GMK versus KKB, GMK versus Swag Keys versus JTK versus PBTFans ABS versus Domaki. I forgot Domaki. We also have Domaki in here with the watermelon. That's also going to be featured as well. This one is ABS. And then I'm going to run all the the PBTs. So CRP, PBT, nPBT, and MT3, I believe is PBT. And then obviously some of the combos that make sense there. So GMK versus CRP, GMK versus ePBT, GMK versus nPBT, GMK versus MT3, and then PBT versus PBT. CRP is my favorite, so I'm going to run CRP versus ePBT, CRP versus nice PBT, and maybe I'll run the KKBs by themselves against the others too, like Keycap versus DCS, Keycap versus Swag Keys, Keycap versus JTK versus Dom Keys versus PBTFans. So we're going to have a lot of sound tests and a lot of combinations for me to edit and put together. So it'll be a pretty long video. I'm going to have timestamps for everything. And then we'll have a definitive resource for, caps versus caps in terms of a sound test and comparison, so you can maybe make a better decision on which one you like best. Personally, I think GMK will probably come out on top. My personal favorite is DCS and GMK. KKB should be okay. Keycap should be okay, but we'll see. And then as far as the PBT goes, CRP is usually my favorite. But we'll see. Once I spice it together, you never know. We might find a hidden gem here. All right? So on with the show. Wow, that was a lot of tests. So in conclusion, I hope you guys enjoyed that. There's some interesting notes that I noticed after I watched the video. The first batch of ABS comparisons are very, very close in tone and clack. Mostly, some of the noticeable differences are in the space bars. If you go back and listen to the space bars, you might hear the differences. Particularly in the DCS one, the space bar is quite loud. Typically, I'll use a GMK space bar with my DCS builds. The other thing interesting to note was, at least in these sound tests on this board, KKB and GMK were actually very, very close. Almost can barely tell the difference. Swag Keys is very slightly deeper, but honestly excellent for the price. I mean, I think for Black Friday they were $45 from Swag Keys, and they have like really big kits. It is an ABS/PBT blend, so it is a slightly deeper, but honestly, really good. Even the PBTFans ABS, which I typically didn't like, this set in particular, this Pelican set, in the sound test, it sounds great. Maybe a tiny bit quieter versus the others, but otherwise it's good. JTK and Damaki were also excellent in terms of strictly sound. On par with GMK and KKB, to be honest. Like, I think if we did a blind test, those four, KKB, GMK, JTK, and DMK, very, very close. It'd be hard to tell the difference in a blind test. They're quite good. Over in PBT land, CRP reigns supreme. eBPT is slightly glassier. You can kind of hear the glassy tones. It would be even worse once you put on a carbon fiber plate or alu plate. Nice PBT was decent, but a little bit quieter. That was the Thai T. It was a little bit quiet. And MT3 is deeper than all of them, but it's kind of wobbly and noisier sounding. It's a little wobbly sounding, probably due to the height, the extra height. So if you have switches that are not as tight as, say, HMX, the MT3 will exaggerate the wobble. And these are MX Blacks, so even though they're lubed and filmed, there is some wobble still comparatively to HMX. MT3 just kind of sounds budget, even though it technically isn't all that budget unless you get it on sale at drop. But in any case, that's not my preference, but it's good to throw it in here. Noticeably absent is Osame, which I believe is thicker and extra deep. I also don't have Linworks in here or the DCX. Keep in mind, this is strictly sound only. We're not taking into account the texture or the pricing or the kerning, especially KKB. I'm not a fan of their kerning. Having said all that, after running 11 sets and all these combinations and listening to the sound tests and the videos after it's been edited, my preference would still be DCS, possibly on top, GMK and CRP being my three favorites. On my current boards, I've only got GMK mounted on the one board. Everything else is running CRP or DCS. I think if you get JTK or DMK on sale or love the colorways and are okay with the so-so molds, you can get away with those in terms of sound. JTK molds are kind of old, so like the text mods are kind of jank. But in terms of sound only, it's great. Same goes for the other PBT major brands. Like on their own, they're fine really, but you can grab them on massive discounts to make them worth grabbing. Otherwise, just stick to CRP. Now remember, this is MX Black's plateless with no foams. So if you foam up your boards, then all the caps will make far less difference. I mean, there are already very subtle differences as it is, other than ABT versus PBS. If you foam up your board, then really any caps. If you like the colorway, you get them at the right price, just go for them. Any of the major brands. If you have a plate and play, it's also going to change the sounds. I tried to keep everything as basic and as neutral as possible with just MX Blacks with no plate. If you're lucky and you don't have acid fingers like me, then ABS is the clackier choice. For me, as great as the ABS sets are, I try to daily CRP on my boards in rotation, unless the GMK set is already shine, in which case I embrace the shine and just go nuts. But I will typically shine GMK. Within a week or two, it'll start to show texture loss. In any case, I hope you found this video useful. I don't believe anyone has run it in such a controlled and tight setup. in one spot. 11. We did a total of 11 caps, about 8 hours of editing to put it together, including loading and unloading the board 11 times in a row, and then recording. I hope you all took advantage of the major Black Friday deals this weekend, because everybody had excellent sales. Novel Keys had excellent sales. Even Canon Keys got some hidden gems in their warehouse finds. Omnitype had great sales. Oblotsky's got some good stuff on there. Just all around great sales if you're looking for any kind of caps. And that's about it. All right. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. The usual YouTube shilling. And keep on keeping.